What is good, everybody? How we doing today? Welcome back to another episode brought to you by the League FFB. Today, we're here for what we are always here for on Monday mornings. We're going to be talking about what happened in yesterday's game, a Week 7 recap, if you will. Now, I'm going to ask you guys to bear with me here today because I'm a little bit under the weather. You might be able to tell by the voice. I got to probably be clearing the throat through this one. I probably am going to be coughing through this one, so I'm going to be muting my mic to do that. Hopefully it's not too big of a bother, but I see we got some people in the chat already. Andre, he says, my guy, what's up, man? And Element says, well, we got some stuff to talk about here. Real frustrated in my team. Jaden Daniels 5 points, Mason 8 points, Dell no points, Downs 1 point. Damn, can't believe how unlucky I got this week. Yeah, it's one of those weeks, man. But look, I don't want to waste too much time. I want to hop right into these games. Andre says Josh Jacobs finally did something. It was only a matter of time. It was only a matter of time he finally did. So, look, man, we're going to hop into the games. I'm going to pull up the screen. We got to talk about this one first. My Minnesota Vikings, they take their first L of the year. Detroit 5-1, Minnesota 5-1. These two teams look like they're going to be fighting for the division championship. Jared Goff is playing some damn good football right now, man. 22 for 25, 280 yards, and 2 touchdowns in this one. It just feels like they said he has more touchdowns. The Lions have more touchdowns over the last 4 weeks than he has incompletions, which is insane. Jahmyr Gibbs, big day from Jahmyr Gibbs. 15 for 116 and 2 touchdowns there. Also got it done in the air, 4 for 44. David Montgomery, he got banged up in this one, but it seemed like he was okay because he was able to come back in here. And then really everybody else for the Lions outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown really did nothing for us either. Amon-Ra is going to finish number 1 overall at the wide receiver position this week, assuming nobody has a huge day today with our 2 Monday night games. But look, man, Jameson Williams not giving you what you want. Still hasn't been giving you what you want. Laporta's not giving you what you want. But the Lions in general, they are looking very solid, and it was a good game. That second quarter, they scored 21 unanswered in the second quarter, and that's what kills you. But Sam Darnold, he didn't play a bad game of football either. 22 for 27, 259 and a touchdown. Aaron Jones goes 14 for 93 and a touchdown in a game where he was coming off of an injury. Justin Jefferson, same old, 7 for 81 and a touchdown. He's always going to be good. And then Addison, 3 for 66 in this one as well. I think, look, TJ Hawkinson was questionable going into this one, possibly was going to play, and ended up not playing. At the end of the day, he might have been the difference maker in this one. We'll see, but he should be playing here on Thursday night. The Vikings, they go play Thursday night against the Rams. Cap, he says, bad week for a lot of good receivers. Stay the course. Element says I'm probably going to start him next week, and he will be on normal because my luck's like that. Andre says Gibbs is that guy, bro. What a performance by him. And Element says I need 30 points from Marvin Harrison Jr. and no points from Mark Andrews to win. Yeah, that feels tough. That feels tough, folks. But, yeah, I wanted to get this one out of the way. Look, this is one of the better games of the weekend. There was lots of fantasy points to go around. Gibbs is good. Shocker. Aaron Jones, Justin Jefferson, they're good. Shocker. I think this is – if you want people from these teams, or if you have people from these two teams on your fantasy roster, you probably got a pretty good roster. That's just the way it's going to go. So that is the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota game. Let's move on to the next one. We can talk about – come on now. We'll move on to the Patriots Jags because there is some stuff to talk about in this one as well. Look, Jacksonville, I thought they were going to win this one. They go out there and they do. 32-16. New England falls to 1-6. Jacksonville's 2-5. Trevor Lawrence goes 15 for 20 for 193 yards and a touchdown. Tank Bigsby carries this team. Look, 26 for 118 and 2 touchdowns. He's going to be one of the highest finishers of the week at the running back position. If there was an argument before for Tank Bigsby seeing more work with Travis Etienne out, look, man, Tank Bigsby might be the answer with Travis Etienne in the lineup, just being quite honest. It's kind of worrisome for a guy like Travis Etienne. I almost said Trevor Etienne, his younger brother. But and then Brian Thomas Jr., man, big day as well. 5 for 89 and a touchdown. Ingram 5 for 35. I think right now, the way that we're looking at this Jaguars offense, with Evan Ingram back in the lineup, it's really hard for me to have any confidence in Christian Kirk. I think Ingram is eating into the Christian Kirk role where he's working across the middle. He's working on some of the shallow routes. It's just Christian Kirk's role is being eliminated. There's just too many mouths to feed. Brian Thomas on the outside, Ingram, there's just not enough. And so I'm worried about Christian Kirk. I think he's getting to the point where he could probably be droppable at some point here in the near future if we keep seeing performances like that. But let's talk about the other side of the football, because Drake May continues to look great, man. 26 for 37, 276 and 2. Now, this was some garbage time points from Drake May, some yardage and stuff in the garbage time period, but 3 for 18, leading rusher Ramondre Stevenson. What a stinker of a day. This should have been a very good matchup. Jacksonville, they've been giving up points left and right to the running back position. Stevenson doesn't go out and do it. He just looked bad, man. He looks slow. He almost looks like he's still hurt, in my opinion. And then Hunter Henry at the tight end position giving you 8 for 92. That's huge. The only other takeaway I would take from this one other than, well, let's talk about Demario Douglas, because he had the opportunity of a lifetime, it felt like, this week. He should have had a good game. And then halfway through the game, we get this report that comes out where it says Demario Douglas or Douglas is dealing with a sickness. He should have been, or he took an IV and he was trying to make sure that he wasn't nauseous, taking an anti-nausea and all this other stuff. What the hell? Why did we not know this before the game? They give us that report halfway through the game. Why did we not know this before the game? Because if we knew this before the game, we're probably not playing Demario Douglas in our fantasy lineups, but we all go play him and he's off of the field in every other snap, it feels like, and not playing really any football for the Patriots because he's too sick to get on the field. This is one of those times where I hate the reporting, man. It's like, that's something you just say that before the game, man. You would have saved us a lot of pain, because I played Demario Douglas in a lot of places. And then the other thing is Jalen Polk, man. Jalen Polk, he's trash. I just want to be honest. He's trash, man. And he's out here on Instagram talking about peace sign and stuff like, Brody, you're a rookie and you can't catch the football. We got to get it together. What are we doing here? What do we got? Cap for Life says, was down 18 points last night. My opponent had the Jets defense, gave them -5 points. Now I'm down by 2 points. They have Palmer left. I have Dobbins and McBride. Do I win? Are you kidding me? Why is this a question, Cap? They have Palmer and you have Dobbins and McBride? Yes, you should win this matchup for sure. Anthony, DJ Cool, let me clear my throat. Played Hunt, Bigsby, Darnold over Mason /C. Chase Brown and Mahomes. Love making good decisions. Yeah, you love to see that, dude. But yeah, that's it for this game, man. There really isn't too much about it. Drake May, he looks good, man. He looks good. Let's move to the Seahawks and the Falcons. This one was kind of a boring one, and we'll talk about it a little bit more in detail, but excuse me there. We had a meltdown. One of those classic Kirk Cousins meltdowns, man. He goes 24 for 35, 232, a touchdown, an interception, or 2 interceptions and a lost fumble. The Seahawks, they win this one. They're 4-3 now. Atlanta's 4-3. I don't think a lot of people expected Seattle to really run away with this one. It should have been more competitive than it was. But before we get back to the Kirk Cousins meltdown, let's talk a little bit about Seattle, because they did win this one. JSN throws a 35-yard pass here, but Geno Smith, he goes 18 for 28, 207, and 2 touchdowns. Pretty clean game from Geno. Kenneth Walker goes 14 for 69 and a touchdown. Charbonnet gets worked in, but he doesn't do really anything on the ground. For Seattle's receiving, DK 4 for 99 and a touchdown. Kenneth Walker 2 for 24 and a touchdown. Noah Fant, 4 for 65. Tyler Lockett 4 for 45. JSN, where you at? 3 for 9. Not great for him. But overall, look, this is an offense that spreads the football around. They're going to get a lot of guys involved, and I guess this week it was DK, Fant, and Lockett, and those were the 3 that got involved. And Kenneth Walker is as good as it gets right now at the running back position. I don't know if you could tell me 10 guys at the running back position you would rather have starting in your fantasy football starting lineups every single week without mentioning Kenneth Walker's name. For Atlanta, like I said, the meltdown from Kirk Cousins, but rushing the football, Bijan Robinson goes 21 for 103 and a touchdown. Algier goes 5 for 36. Hey, were we worried about Tyler Algier taking Bijan's work? I think some people were. I think we talked about it on this channel at times. Bijan Robinson, kid's good. Kid's good, man. 21 for 103 and a touchdown. That's a stat line that's not going to wow people incredibly, but it's going to be a top 10 finish at the running back position, I think, this week. And, yeah, you can keep playing Bijan Robinson, man. Don't run away from Bijan because you're worried about Tyler Algier. Receiving-wise, how about 3 for 40 in the air for Bijan as well? Kyle Pitts, 7 for 65. London, 6 for 63 and a touchdown. Darnell Mooney, 5 for 46. All of these guys kind of got it in, even with Kirk Cousins having the bad day. One thing that I want to keep noticing is that Drake London, he keeps finding the end zone, man. He is the number one red zone target in this offense, it feels like, and he keeps finding the end zone week in and week out. He keeps finishing as one of the top wide receivers on the week in and week out. Overall, I like what I saw. I like what I've seen. There really isn't anything else to talk about, really, other than I think anybody who picked up Tyler Algier and felt like Tyler Algier was maybe going to have a role by himself, which I think we have said that he's going to have a role by himself at times. I don't know if I believe that anymore. I started him this week just because I felt like he could give me a safer floor than some of these other guys, and maybe not. I'm going to keep an eye on him moving forward. Andre says, love to see Pitts get more involved in the offense. Yeah, we've been needing that, man. We've been needing that. And if you had Kyle Pitts, here's your hope. Here's your hope for more. Let's move on to this next game here. We're going to go to the Titans and the Bills. Another game that wasn't too exciting, mainly because it was a stomping. Really, you had the Mason Rudolph-led Titans. No Will Levis in this one. They finished this one 10-34. Josh Allen and the Bills, they win this one pretty easily. 1-5 is now the Titans' record. 5-2 is the Buffalo Bills' record. Josh Allen now has 15 all-purpose touchdowns, 0 interceptions to start the year. That's pretty damn good. So when you're looking at Josh Allen's stats for this one, 21 for 33, 323, and 2 touchdowns. On the ground, got a little bit of Ray Davis action, got a little bit of James Cook action. Both of them involved. James Cook, 12 for 32 and a touchdown. Ray, 5 for 41 and a touchdown. Excuse me, I tried to get it muted. We couldn't do it. It wasn't working for some reason. But Buffalo receiving, Keon Coleman, 4 for 125. Amari Cooper, 4 for 66 and a touchdown. Really didn't know what type of role Amari Cooper was going to have in this offense here in his first week. That's good enough, man. If you started him and you felt like I need to start Amari Cooper, that's good enough, man. I will take that all day long. Khalil Shakir, 7 for 65. Dalton Kincaid, 3 for 52. Here's the thing, man. I'm a little bit worried about Dalton Kincaid now, man. You add Amari Cooper to this offense. Khalil Shakir is still going to be involved. Coleman is going to be involved. Kincaid's going to be involved. I think a lot of the appeal again, I apologize, folks. I think a lot of the appeal for Dalton Kincaid to start the year was the fact that this is a guy who could be the number one option in his room, in his offense. The number one receiving option, similar to what Travis Kelce has been over years past. That is not what Dalton Kincaid is anymore. He is not that for the Buffalo Bills. And I don't know if he ever was. And it's kind of unfortunate because I had high hopes, and we haven't seen anything that makes me feel comfortable with that. So it's probably a pipe dream at this point to think that he's going to be the number one guy. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what else to say about it. That's about as honest as we can be. Anthony says Buffalo running back room equals Tampa Bay running back room. Could be, man. You got the Bucky Irving, the rookie behind that's talented enough to earn a role. I could see it. I don't think James Cook is Rachaad White level bad, but James Cook is definitely more talented than that. Now, let's talk about Tennessee. Mason Rudolph goes 25 for 40, 215, a touchdown and an interception. Tony Pollard on the ground. Should have been a good matchup for him because Buffalo's been very bad against the running back position. He goes 16 for 61, doesn't find the end zone. Really doesn't do anything through the air either. 2 for 4 from Pollard in the air. Bad day, man, for Pollard, and that's unfortunate because I thought it was going to be a smash play. It just got out of hand too quickly, I think. Chigakonkwo leads the way. Tyler Boyd, Calvin Ridley's probably pissed about it. He's still got 9 targets. They're from Mason Rudolph. They're not great. And then everybody else, whatever. DeAndre Hopkins, 1 for -2. I'm going to try and throw this cough drop in, folks. Sorry. I'm going to try and throw a cough drop in just to try and prevent this shit from being crazy. But yeah, man, that's it. That's it for the Tennessee and the Buffalo game. Bengals Browns. Man, Deshaun Watson, the Reaper finally came. And look, you don't want to see injury. I get it. But look, Deshaun Watson, man, Achilles tear. He's going to be done for the year. And he goes out there 15 for 17, 128, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, and torn Achilles, carted off the football field. Cincinnati wins this one 21-14. The Bengals are now 3-4. The Browns are now 1-6. They will be playing probably Jameis Winston at quarterback next year or next week. And if they're playing him at quarterback, it's better for these wide receiver options, I assume. But I don't know if you really want to play anybody in Cleveland at this point. Nick Chubb, he goes 11 for 22 on the ground, a touchdown in his debut. That's about as good as it could have got. Cedric Tillman leads the way, 8 for 81, and Njoku 10 for 76 and a touchdown. That's going to be the top tight end finish of the week. David Njoku showed up, and he continues to play well without Watson on the field. So yeah, he continues to show up without Watson on the field. I apologize, guys. I'm trying my best to get through this shit. I thought about not doing it, and yeah, I still wanted to do it. I'm doing my best to get through it. It's just, you can tell I'm probably trying to power through right now. For Cincinnati, looking at Joe Burrow, 15 for 25, 181 and 2 touchdowns. One thing that I found interesting with the Cincinnati Bengals offense this week, and something we've seen over the last month now, is that T. Higgins continues to out-target Ja'Marr Chase every single week. He keeps out-targeting him. 8 targets for T. Higgins, 6 for Ja'Marr Chase. That's where we're at. So, just trying to figure out what's going on in this offense really in general. I think we have 2 questions primarily. The first question is Chase Brown for real? He's getting 15 for 44. Obviously, you don't like to see that 2.9 yards per carry. One of them was being a long touchdown, so really he's 14 for 22. It's not good. Zach Moss 6 for 7. And then T. Higgins, Ja'Marr Chase, like I said. We're kind of seeing what's happening with these guys. I think right now we can just see T. Higgins as the 1A, 1B in this offense. That's kind of the way I'm viewing it. Other than that, there's not too many takeaways here. Anthony says, go rest, man. We understand. We're going to power through, bro. We're going to power through. That's going to be the way that I'm going to do it. But, just for the people who are here for the first time, just understand this ain't the energy level we usually are at. But I am trying to power through. Anthony says, Cedric Tillman waiver stash of the week, in my opinion, in redraft. Yeah, he's probably interesting enough. If Jameis comes in and starts throwing the ball deep, he could be really interesting, I think. Just playing downfield, second-round pick, guy that they drafted. They haven't really had the opportunity to use him, but with Amari Cooper out of town, maybe he's in the plans. Next game. This was a good one. I expected a little more points, but this was a good one. Houston and Green Bay. Now, Houston loses this one 22-24. Green Bay wins. Green Bay is now 5-2. Houston is 5-2. We'll talk about C.J. Stroud because C.J. Stroud's day was horrible for fantasy football. Really, in real life, it's a horrible day as well. It's very surprising that they can score 22 points and C.J. plays that way. But Jordan Love goes 24 for 33, 220 and 3 touchdowns. Green Bay rushing. Josh Jacobs, they said it in the chat earlier. He finally had the big day. 12 carries, 76 yards, and then in the air, he got his first receiving touchdown of his career. So Josh Jacobs goes 5 for 16 in the air and 1 receiving touchdown as well. So that's the first of his career. It's kind of crazy, man. When you look at the other receiving options for Green Bay, Romeo Doubs, he goes 8 for 94. Dontavion Wicks, the week after we all dropped him back to the waiver wire, he goes 3 for 48 and a touchdown. Kraft goes 3 for 33 and a touchdown. And then Christian Watson, Jaden Reed, they're the odd man out in this one here this week. Now, the way that I'm looking at Green Bay moving forward is kind of like almost kind of how that San Francisco 49ers offense has been in years past, where they have so many studs, there's so many good players. It's going to be hard to project who's going to have the good day. I think you got to plug all of them into your lineup and just live with the results. When one of them has the bad day, you live with that, but you just got to keep plugging them into your lineup. I think that's the way we got to view this offense. For Houston, though, as I mentioned, C.J. Stroud, he had a bad day. 10 for 21, 86 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I mean, look, there's not much to say there. He's a guy that sunk you this week. If you played him in fantasy, that ain't cutting it. That ain't cutting it. I mean, guys like Will Levis were giving you more than that in years or weeks past. It's just not great. Now, Joe Mixon, he goes 25 for 115 and 2 touchdowns. In the air, he goes 2 for 9 as well. Not really anything crazy, but he looks like an absolute workhorse in this offense. So as long as he's healthy, I'm going to keep playing him. Obviously, he's going to be one of the top plays at the position. And then Dalton Schultz, 1 for 28. Really nobody else. I mean, if you played the Houston wide receivers, when C.J. Stroud is going 10 for 86, it ain't going to happen. It's just not going to happen. Diggs, 5 for 23. That's probably the best fantasy day of all those wide receivers. And, again, it ain't going to happen when C.J.'s going 10 for 86. Dolphins, Colts. We'll talk about this one. In this matchup, Anthony says biggest shock is 0 for Tank Dell. Yeah, I mean, putting out a donut is crazy, especially because of how good of a week he had last week without Nico in the lineup. So the Dolphins lose 10-16. A-Rich and the Colts, they get the dub. He's back under center in this one. They're 4-3 now. Miami's 2-4. A-Rich goes 10 for 24 for 129 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. They win the game. He runs the football 14 times for 56 yards there. Tyler Goodson, 14 for 51, finds the end zone. Trey Sermon, not doing anything spectacular, but the biggest takeaway, and we've known this for a little while now, it feels like, if Anthony Richardson is under center for the Colts, none, and absolutely none, of these wide receiver options for Indianapolis are viable. You can't confidently plug them in your fantasy football lineups. Michael Pittman leads the day. He goes 3 for 63. It's still not a good day. Doesn't even crack double-digit points for your lineup. Adonai, 2 for 30. Alec, 2 for 15. Josh Downs, 1 for 3. With Anthony Richardson under center, the receiving upside for these wide receivers is so low that I think they're all unplayable. There are waiver wire options week in and week out that have more upside than these guys with Anthony Richardson under center. It's unfortunate because I think there's a lot of talented options in Josh Downs, in Michael Pittman, in Adonai Mitchell. I think these are talented players, but we just don't have the upside with Anthony Richardson under center. The reason why you have Anthony Richardson in your lineups is because of this. 14 carries. That's what you want to see. But other than that, I can't imagine you're really wanting to throw anybody out there in this Colts offense week in and week out. I can't even imagine you want to play Anthony Richardson. I have him in a super flex league, and I've been debating between him and Kirk Cousins pretty much every week that he's been healthy. And, that's not how we drafted him to be, obviously. I can't imagine anybody besides him and Jonathan Taylor are players that you would consider throwing out there most weeks. Miami, talking about quarterback play and guys we're not confident throwing out there. Huntley goes 7 for 13. Boyle goes 8 for 13. Huntley throws the touchdown, but again, until Tua gets back into this lineup, Achane, Waddle, Tyreek, all of those options you can't really throw out there confidently either. Achane had probably one of his better days. This is a good matchup on paper, 15 for 77. That's definitely something that is better than some of these last weeks. But Tyreek, 1 for 8. I think he won his first half of football without seeing a target. It's just the way that life is right now for Miami Dolphins wide receivers. So, yeah, unfortunate. I think Tua is going to be back here very shortly, though. I think they said something like 1 or 2 weeks. All right, we got a couple more games here. 5 more games. We'll get through these 5 games. You have the Eagles and the Giants revenge game for Saquon Barkley here. The Giants, I don't even know if they knew that they had to show up for a game. But Daniel Jones, he goes 14 for 21, 99 yards. Drew Lock gets 3 for 8 for 6 yards. Like I said, nobody really showed up. We'll talk about Philly first, though, because that's the majority of what we'll talk about for this game. Jalen goes 10 for 14, 1 touchdown. He got 2 rushing touchdowns in this one as well, going 7 for 22, a tush push in there as well. Saquon goes 17 for 176 and a touchdown on the ground, running all over those Giants. He got boos on his way into the building. Look, revenge game, and he goes out and almost puts up 200 on you. 2 for 11 in the air as well. A.J. Brown, 5 for 89 and a touchdown as well. Devonta Smith was MIA, man. 1 for -2 is the stat line for Devonta Smith. He was MIA. But you know what? Saquon looks like one of the best players at his position. A.J. looks like one of the best players at his position. And Jalen Hurts, assuming he's doing stuff like this where he can put up 3 touchdowns and only throw for 100 yards, still looks like one of the best players at his position right now. Now, for the sorry, I'm trying to get this cat to jump up here. For the Giants, obviously, like I said, Daniel Jones and the Giants, they didn't do too much on offense. Tyrone Tracy Jr., he leads the way, 6 carries for 23 yards. Devin Singletary goes 5 for 18. And then Malik Neighbors kind of gives us a dud performance. We weren't expecting this, I guess, from Malik Neighbors because he's been so good for us in fantasy football so far this year. 4 for 41. Not a great performance. Obviously, if you played him, that's not what you wanted. But like I said, the Giants team didn't even show up. They didn't play a bunch of football this week. And, yeah, it showed. It showed, man, 28-3. All right, Raiders-Rams. Aiden O'Connell leaves this game with an injury. He's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks, is what I've heard so far. They lose 15-20. The Rams win. Cooper Kupp was rumored to maybe come back, but he didn't come back in this one. They're saying Thursday night, potentially, is when they'll be back. Matthew Stafford goes 14 for 23, 150 yards. Kyron goes 21 for 76 and 2 touchdowns. He's been absolutely dominant for fantasy football with these guys out of the lineups. Like, we thought maybe that would hurt Kyron Williams. He has risen to the occasion. Kyron Williams looks great, man. Blake Corum, 3 for 11. You at least like to see him getting work behind Kyron now. It's not the Ronnie Rivers crap, but it's Kyron's backfield and nobody else's. Receiving-wise, Tutu gets 6 for 51. Tyler Johnson goes 4 for 57. Colby Parkinson, 2 for 32. There really was nobody outside of Kyron Williams in this offense that was worth a damn this week. I would say even Matthew Stafford, until we get Cooper Kupp and we get Puka back into the lineups, we don't really want them. We don't want Stafford in our lineup either. Now, as I mentioned, Aiden O'Connell, he leaves this game. He goes out to the injury. It's going to be Gardner Minshew again in Las Vegas for the next month or two to finish the season, I think, at least our fantasy football regular seasons. Now, Alexander Mattison has completely taken over the backfield. I think he is RB1, no doubt about it. 23 for 92, didn't get into the end zone in this one, but he is definitely the guy in this backfield moving forward. Brock Bowers, if there's anybody you want in Las Vegas, it is Brock Bowers. 10 for 93. When we said we felt like Dalton Kincaid could be the number one wide receiver in his offense, the number one receiving option in his offense, that is what Brock Bowers is right now at this moment. So Brock Bowers, absolutely a stud for fantasy football purposes and a player that you want in any team, in any format, in any scoring setting, no matter what. He's probably going to be fighting for the tight end one on the year type of numbers when it's all said and done. So Brock Bowers, an absolute stud, no doubt about it. Moving on to our next game here, we do have the Panthers and the Commanders. This one, we had Jaden Daniels get knocked out of as well. They still won 7-40 though. Just an absolute blowout here. And Marcus Mariota led the way for the majority of the day. 18 for 23, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns. I think, anything you felt about Jaden Daniels in this offense, if he were to miss any additional time, a week, 2 weeks, Marcus Mariota is a guy that I think we can pick up and play and stream in his absence because of what we saw him do here in this one. Brian Robinson goes 12 for 71 and a touchdown. We thought this was a good matchup for him. I made him a start of the week. I think he's still a little bit banged up, but that's a good enough day to salvage that for us. McLaurin, 6 for 98. Ertz, 4 for 40 and a touchdown. Even Ben Sinnott gets into the end zone as well. So overall, even with Jaden Daniels out of the lineup, leaving in that second quarter, they didn't miss a beat. They didn't skip a beat there in Washington. They still performed very well, and they dropped 40 points. So hats off and applause to Cliff Kingsbury there, man. Andy Dalton, he goes 11 for 16, 93 yards and 2 interceptions. Chuba, 17 for 51 and a touchdown. JT Sanders leads the way, 6 for 61 and a stinker performance from Deontay Johnson if you played him. We expected them to give a lot more points because Washington does give up a ton of points to the wide receiver position. Going 1 for 17, that's a dud. You don't like to see that one. So that's that game for us, guys. I'm just going to, I apologize, but I'm just going to speed through these last two here. Because they weren't great performances really in general anyways. Looking at Kansas City, they win this one 28-18. San Francisco, big news for San Francisco in this one, and one that's going to be super relevant for fantasy football. It sounds like Brandon Ayuk has torn his ACL. So Brandon Ayuk is likely going to be without, or I guess the Niners are going to be without Brandon Ayuk for the rest of the year. That's the way it sounds, and fantasy football teams will be without Brandon Ayuk for the rest of the year. Unfortunate, obviously, but it also feels like we haven't had Brandon Ayuk on our teams to start the year either. He hasn't given us any good performances outside of 1 week, and it's unfortunate, but it's going to help George Kittle, and it's going to help Deebo Samuel, because now there's going to be that one less target competition type of player on the field, and I'm going to be keeping my eyes out, man. Ricky Pearsall's intriguing. I think Jacob Cowing is intriguing. If you look at this game in general, look, Cowing 2 for 50, work downfield. Pearsall 3 for 21. Those guys would be next guys up. And keep in mind, Juwan Jennings was not in this game either. So Juwan Jennings would also be one of the top pickups as well. So we're looking at those wide receiver options for San Francisco, and we'll probably be targeting them on the waiver wire. Jordan Mason, tough matchup, bad day. What can you do? Kansas City's been number one against the running back position. Mahomes has such a bad day, but somehow survived and won 28-18. 154 yards, 0 touchdowns, and interception. He ran one in there in this game. Kareem Hunt looks like an actual top 12 running back right now. 22 carries, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns. Being used in the receiving game as well, 2 for 5. But really, there's nobody else outside of here. I just can't understand this. I can't fathom this. Travis Kelce, no Rashee Rice in the lineup. Worthy not stepping up. Nobody in the receiving game, even there. Juju Smith-Schuster, where are you? Like, I mean, come on, man. Travis Kelce, 4 for 17. Is it over? It's probably over, right? Like, we can't see there be no options for Kansas City. And Noah Gray's going 4 for 66, and Travis Kelce's sitting here going 4 for 17. I think we might have seen it, man. I think it's the end. Jay Smells says, should I trade Adams for Achane? If you have wide receiver depth, I don't mind going and buying Achane. Or Adams for Montgomery. I think I prefer Montgomery over Achane at the moment. But let's hear what happens with Tua this week. So we'll go to this last game here, and then we'll get on out of here. The New York Jets and the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers win this one 37-15, and this is now with Russell Wilson under center. And this is nice, man. 264 passing yards for Pittsburgh. That's the second most that they've had all year long. That is what happens when you go from Justin Fields to Russell Wilson. You get more in the air, maybe less on the ground. I mean, definitely less on the ground, but this unlocks guys like George Pickens, who goes 5 for 111 and a touchdown. Freiermuth, 2 for 51. You get to unlock the receiving options with Russell Wilson under center. I like this for Pittsburgh long-term moving forward. And Russell Wilson looks like a sneaky pick-up-and-play quarterback option. If you haven't picked him up in your waivers already, he's a guy that you should be picking up and playing. Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, I don't know what to do, man. They are now 2-5. Rodgers goes 276 and 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Breece Hall goes 12 for 38 and a touchdown, 6 for 103 in the air. That's what you like to see out of Breece. But, I mean, look, you get Adams, you have Wilson there, you have Breece Hall there, and you're still dropping games left and right. I don't know, man. This seems like a wasteland for fantasy football. So, Breece Hall, you'll still play him. Adams, he's going to be more involved in that moving forward. Garrett Wilson, who knows what's going to happen. But right now, the Jets, they give off bad vibes, and I don't really want a ton of these guys from the Jets right now on my lineup or in my lineup. But that's it, folks. I mean, I'm looking at Monday night. Monday night, we have the Ravens-Bucks. That'll be a fun one to watch. You can watch that one. And Chargers-Cardinals. This one's on ESPN+. Probably not really going to be a great game to watch, but this one is the one you want to watch. Ravens-Buccaneers. Be keeping an eye out for that one. I have a league where I'm up 57 points. And the guy that I'm playing against has Godwin, Henry, and Mike Evans. I'm up 57. And he has those 3 guys. We're going to see. It's going to be a sweater. Going to be keeping an eye out for that one. But that's it. I appreciate you guys, folks. This one was a little bit quicker. I didn't yap as much, and I think probably most of that is because, like I said, I'm a little bit under the weather. So if the energy was down, y'all feel like it was a little bit, not as informative as normal, I apologize. Truly, I do. I was debating on whether or not I should do this one or not do it. I figured at least talking a little bit about these games was probably better than not talking about them at all. But at the end of the day, man, you guys know, I respect your time, so I appreciate you for being here, watching with me, hanging out, and yeah, I'm gonna go take some medicine. I'm gonna try and get back on this bull, and I'm gonna start researching the waiver video, and the waiver video is gonna come out tomorrow morning. So nothing else for you guys now. I'll see you on our next episode. Until then, peace out.